Welcome everyone to Everyday Passions. It's the show where my guests share something that they're truly passionate about and how they've used this passion to impact the lives of others. I am Yvonne A. Jones of 50 and Wiser Coaching, your host for the show. Today, my guest is Sandy Murray, who lives in Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, Sandy, and thank you for joining me today.
Wow, Yvonne, I'm really excited about being here today with you. This has been, tricky to get set up like this, but I'm looking forward to our conversation today and also sharing with your audience.
Fantastic. Well, Sandy, to get us started, would you share something personal about you? And then I'll share something professional. How about that?
Okay, from a personal point of view, I've had a very interesting life. I've had 7 foster mothers. So I have my own family. There's 13 brothers and sisters, and I never lived with any of them. But that's a whole story in itself, which I'm going to share a little bit of when I talk about my business. My business passion is really helping people start an online business. And also, I've just this year started to create my own online courses to sell and market as well.
Wow. 7 foster mothers?
Yes.
And 13 brothers and sisters, but you've never lived with any of them. That's an interesting story. I would love to hear more about that. I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. But thank you for sharing that. So as you mentioned, you recently started your own online business, but you had a pretty eclectic background, working background, because you shared with me that you spent a lot of time in the computer industry. And then you were a teacher for many years, teaching computers at a private school, and you later became the director of that school. And then you became involved in developing supercomputers. So that's pretty amazing. And you also, before you retired, you also were a property manager for about 6 years, and you ran your own business, which was a UPS store. That's a lot of different, kind of unrelated. So you must have had a pretty fascinating life, Sandy.
Yeah, I call it the roller coaster ride of life. And to be honest with you, I recommend everybody get on the roller coaster. I recommend people, do different things, experience different opportunities. In my case, I was very fortunate. I never asked for a promotion, but I had a bit of a, we'll call it leadership skills gift, if you like. So, I got a lot of promotions just because people saw that, I did a good job in one thing. And if he could do a good job in that, then he could move on to other areas. So yeah, very fascinating. And indeed, I loved it. It's been so exciting. However, I must share with you that the most important thing, or the one job that I loved the most was when I was teaching. And I taught computers I taught a course that was 11 months long. And at that time, it was from, I'll say 9 in the morning till at least 4. So that was quite an experience, because before that, I used to service computers. I used to fix computers. So but that's sort of a little lead into why I really like doing what I'm doing.
And yes, and before you tell me that, you mentioned it briefly a moment ago. We'd love to hear exactly what it is you're truly passionate about, because having done so many things, having such an eclectic background, of course, you mentioned your leadership skills, Sandy, but I know there would have been integrity. There would have been the relationships and all of those things that allowed you to move from one thing to the other smoothly. And you talked about the roller coaster ride of life. Yes, it is. It's interesting that we have this opportunity. Sometimes we start in the corporate world, a small business world, we end up with our own businesses. And you are retired now, but you still love what you're doing. In fact, you started something new. So share that passion with us, please. What is that
Okay.
thing you're passionate about?
I think my passion is behind me. When I was, I guess I was in grade, I'm going to say grade 7, but I won a scholarship to the Nova Scotia Art College. So even as a young person, I was very creative. And anyway, what happened, my foster mom, a Newfoundland lady, she passed away, and before she died on her deathbed, she actually made the daughters, which she had 5 of them, to actually promise that they wouldn't send me back to the orphanage. So, but one of the daughters was married, just got married, and they were transferred to Ottawa. And they had to make a decision of what to do with me, leave me in the Nova Scotia or take me to Ottawa. When I got to Ottawa, my foster dad then, he said, forget this art thing, you never make a living at it. And so go into electronics. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. But the reality, I made a promise to myself, when I retire, I will start to paint again. So that's exactly what I do now. I still do digital art. So that's a personal passion, as well as my passion for, I would say, helping others. Mm-hmm. You know, start an online business, to me is, you know, there's a story behind that, if you'd like me to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yeah.
And because before you go into that, you talk about your passion for painting. I just want to say I honor you and respect you that you stayed true, even though you put that on hold, so to speak, or you put that as a second thing, it always stayed there. And that's a sign that that was a true passion of yours, because you, when you were now able to, you resumed doing your artwork. I wish we had some of your artwork to look at, but perhaps another time.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, it's probably one of my secret ways to remove myself from the day-to-day problems of the world. If I'm painting, I'm immersed into the art to such an extent that I've got, I would say I'm in utopia at that particular stage. When I do artwork, I really just feel so good about it. I truly don't sell my artwork. I give it away. My wife doesn't even have any art of mine, but my art is all over the world. It literally is. But anyway, it's just a great thing for me to do, and I enjoy it very much.
Awesome. So let's go back to your other passion of why you do what you do.
Okay, and that takes me back to, I mentioned to you that I was a foster child, right? And so I want you just to imagine this for a minute. I want you to imagine a 4-year-old boy holding on to his dad's hand, and he's with his brother, and they're in a courthouse, and the judge is there. And my dad has to make a decision because, like I said, there was 13 of us. My mother was in a mental home, so you know, there was some major decisions he had to make. So he decided that he would put us up. Well, he put my brother in an orphanage. It's called the Protestant Orphanage in Halifax. And the judge said to him, with regard to me, he says, would you like him to be a foster child, or would you like to make him available for adoption? When you're adopted, you lose your name, or you could. So he put me up as a foster child. Mm-hmm. So then we talk about the roller coaster ride a little bit. And the first foster parents I had actually were very cruel to me. They used to lock me up in the bathroom and go outside and put a rake on the window and indicate that Satan was there. So anyway, I was fortunate enough that one day a car drives up with one of the children's aid ladies, and she took me to a house on Oak Street in Halifax. And this lady was the Newfoundland lady, Mrs. Morris. And, you know, I was petrified. I mean, I didn't know where I was going. I was hiding under the table. She couldn't get me out from under that table. Anyway, and her intent was just to take care of me for a week or two while they found a proper place for me. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I ended up staying with her, but later on, just a few years ago, I went in and got my what they call the Children's Aid Society records, which you have to apply for. And as I was reading these records, I kept getting comments from the people saying, this particular boy is very insecure. He's really, you know, doesn't know where he's going to be next, always worried about if he's going to end up in another home or end up in the orphanage, which I did end up in the orphanage for a while. Mrs. Morris had cancer. And in that case, she didn't want to leave the responsibility of me to her daughters, really, at that stage. So she put me in the orphanage with my brother, which first time I'd ever met one of my siblings. Another whole story. That's all written up in a book, by the way. A journalist in Halifax did a story on the Protestant orphanage and interviewed me and many of the guys I was in the home with. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that, so you've got this child that's kind of insecure. So also, we were not just, I wasn't just insecure from where I was going to be next, but I was also insecure from a financial point of view because we did not have a lot of money. I mean, Mrs. Morris was, you know, kind of part of her taking me was that she did get some funding for that. But so the key here is, I thought about this later on. I thought, well, why do I want to help people start an online business? Well, I thought about it, and then I came up with the conclusion that I don't want to see anybody be insecure, especially financially insecure. And this particular thing to me meant that if they're financially insecure, possibly they, you know, in retirement didn't put enough money away for retirement, possibly the solution could be for them to have an online business and control their own destiny, and more important, get some additional revenue for their business. So that's really my why. Why do I do what I do? Because basically I just want to try to see people be more secure, more financially secure, if that's something that they need, right? Mm-hmm. Then I've got some expertise to help them get there. Starting from scratch, I help people start an online business.
Excellent. So I'm thinking about it that if you think about a rose, and it started out as a little bud of thought for you, and it grew over the years. And again, you're a pretty tenacious person, obviously, because even now that you're retired, what your experience taught you the value of having a measure of security, Sandy, so that you want to help as many people as you can. If this is what's going to give them that little financial security, you want to be able to help them. And I truly admire that. And you share that that is your why. So this little bud or this little seed germinated, and now in retirement, this gives you something to be able to help others. So can you share with us any experience that you've had so far that really validates that this is a good decision that you made? It's a good use of your time in retirement?
Yeah, I could tell you, I have a number of clients that I work with. This picture behind me is not one of my paintings. It's from a friend of mine, his son, who has some health problems and really he's not able to work in a regular job environment. So I was able to get in touch with him and help him start selling his art online. and having his own online business. So I guess I would say I took somebody that was not an entrepreneur, did not know anything about running a business, knew a lot about art and very creative, but I was able to bring him on to having his own online business and starting his, a pretty successful business. And he gets in touch with me every day. We chat about his business. I help him with his email. I help him with his marketing. And so it's a great relationship. So to me, that's what I call proof of concept that I can do it. I have other people that are into starting a marketing company. I'm coaching them. I have another lady that I coach that is into medical marijuana, and she's helping people that have, problems in that area where they may be aches, pains, that kind of thing. So I'm helping her build a business there as well. So that's just a couple, but I've got quite a few others as well. So, but yeah, that might be just about what I would say about that.
That's great. That's great. So you are definitely using your passion to make an impact. And thank you, Aurelia, for joining us. Aurelia actually was our guest last week. She was an amazing guest. You should have a conversation together. But she just made the comment that most of us that are in a service-based industry or do what we do from our heart, do it because of the experiences we went through. And that was the case for her as it is for you. You went through something in life and you were either able to help yourself or you got help. And so now it's as if you want to pass it on.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
I can't tell you the joy that you get from, just sharing your knowledge, your expertise that you've accumulated over your lifetime, and just sharing that with others and then watching them grow and evolve and become successful. To me, that's just an amazing experience. I really love that.
It really is, because it feels like every time you help someone to grow, then it's as if you're giving birth to something that is bigger than you, right?
Oh, so, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy, this has been fantastic. I love how you integrated what happened in your childhood, so that now, even in retirement, you're not just taking it easy, but you're seeking to bring value and to bring help. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. And Jeff Bailey saying, we don't know what we don't know, which is so true. Very, very true. Thank you, Jeff. And so you are at this point helping others, and I commend you for that, Sandy. And now we want to let our listeners know who may have been impacted by what you have shared, this wonderful passion of yours that you have shared. How can we get in touch with you?
I would say the easiest way, there's two ways. You could, if you want, you could go to YouTube and type Sandy Murray. You'll find me there because I have a YouTube channel where I give, I think I've got 14 free lessons there that are available for people. But also, if you just go to Facebook and, search my name, Sandy Murray there, and just take a look at my profile. Some of my artwork is on there. There's some opportunities for people to get in touch with me, either on Messenger. And what I like to do with people is just have a conversation with them, not related to business at all, but just related to life in general. And if it happens to move to business and they decide they're looking for somebody to help them as a coach or a mentor, I'm available for them and I can help them. But, those are their choices. It's all permissional based. I allow people to just make those decisions themselves. So that would be the easiest way.
Yeah, I love that. And you focus on relationships clearly just in what you said. And that's what it's all about, because regardless of what we call ourselves as far as titles, we're dealing with people and it's a relationship business. Anyway, we look at it. Relationships are important. And I know for a fact, my interactions with you over the years is that you strongly believe in building those strong relationships. So Sandy, thank you so much for being here. And I think those who heard the introduction will want to hear a little bit about what are some of your experiences as a foster child. What are some of the things that happened that allow you to be the warm person you are today? Because unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that for everyone. They become bitter. They become bitter over the treatment that they experience. Go ahead, Sandy. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to say to you is it's not very complicated. All it is, it's a choice I made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had various situations. I was a bad kid. I mean, I was really heading for some pretty bad areas. But you know, being in the orphanage, being with matrons, being with people that are, from all over the world, and being with my brother who he had never got out of the orphanage. I could tell you many stories about, people coming on a Sunday to try to take the two brothers and considering, bring them as a foster child. And my brother and I saying, no, we don't like this lady, and running away and leaving her until we had to go back to the orphanage and she's having a nervous breakdown type of thing. But to be honest, there's so many stories in that one episode of my life. I used to jump the trains all the time. Anyway, ran away from the orphanage. That's how I got back with Mrs. Morris, by the way, is I had to go down to the Children's Aid. I had to see a gentleman named Mr. Blue. And he said, oh, you have to stay in the orphanage. I said, you'll never keep me there. There's no way. I said, I'd already run away. They knew they couldn't keep me. The RCMP used to take me back all the time. I'll just share one little thing is
one short thing.
Yeah, one short thing is in the movies when they show an orphanage in a stairway. I came back from the orphanage and all the kids were lined up, and I said to my brother, you squealed on me that I ran. And he said, yeah, he says I did, but I love you. Oh, okay. Upstairs we went. Anyway, that's about it.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Every story is different and yours is heartwarming. So thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I really enjoyed having you here today and speaking with you. So for everyone who was with us live, thank you so much for being here. If you're going to be watching the replay, we respect and honor you, and we'd invite you to jump over to my YouTube channel. By the end of the week, this video should be there. It's just youtube.com/Yvonne A. Jones. You will find all the interviews there as well. So until next time, this is Yvonne A. Jones and Sandy Murray. And by the way, Sandy is spelled S-A-N-D-Y, M-U-R-R-A-Y, Sandy Murray. Until next time, we'll see you again.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sandy.